Gen V Season 2 Episode 5 is where everything changes. Cypher's mask is slipping, secrets buried deep inside the school are boiling to the surface, and alliances are starting to shatter. The man in the chamber, Cypher's manipulation, and Murray's dangerous rise to power are all colliding in ways that could flip this whole season upside down. Nothing feels safe anymore. Every character is standing on a knife's edge, and Episode 5 might be the one that pushes them over. Episode 5, titled The Kids Are Not Alright, is setting up to be one of the most explosive episodes of the season. Everything we've seen so far has been leading to this moment, Cypher stepping out of the shadows and revealing his real game. Up until now, he's been playing the role of mentor, manipulator, and puppet master, testing how much control he can get over Murray and the rest of the group. But now, his plan is moving into a dangerous new phase. In Episode 4, we got a taste of his ability to twist minds and force people to push past their limits. We saw how he turned Jordan against Murray, forcing her to unleash her powers like never before. That wasn't just a random move, it was Cypher's way of proving that Murray could go further, that she could be molded into something even more dangerous than she realizes. Cypher's obsession with Murray is no coincidence. The truth about him being tied to the man locked in that chamber is getting harder to ignore, and the theories around Thomas Dulkin being his father feel more likely with every hint dropped. If Cypher is grooming Murray, it's not because he believes in her, it's because he wants to use her. Her blood powers aren't just unique. They're potentially the key to unlocking whatever is hidden inside that chamber. Think about it, Cypher hinted at miracles, at Murray being able to do the impossible if she just pushed herself. What if that miracle isn't about saving lives, but about reviving someone? Bringing Dulkin out of the chamber not as a prisoner, but as a weapon. That's the kind of twisted purpose Cypher seems to be driven by. There's another angle too. Murray being the only surviving member of Project Odessa changes everything. If the school was built on the ashes of that experiment, then Cypher's fascination with her is tied directly to his mission. Maybe Murray isn't just special, maybe she's the blueprint. Cypher might not be shaping her just to stand against Homelander one day, but to weaponize her abilities, to amplify Compound V in a way that could breed an army of Supes more powerful than anyone has ever seen. Remember how Murray couldn't detect V in Cypher's bloodstream? That's not a mistake. If Cypher's carrying something different, some advanced strain of V his father created, then he's not just another Supe, he's the prototype of a darker future. A Supe with multiple powers, hidden from detection, and carefully placed inside Godolkin University to finish what his father started. Episode 5 could finally start pulling back the curtain on Cypher's full agenda. He's already shown his cruelty with Kate, dangling her life like it meant nothing. He's already planted seeds of division among the group, breaking trust where it hurts most. Now, he's going to push Murray even harder, tempting her with the idea that she could be stronger than Homelander himself. And let's be honest, that's exactly what this universe needs. With Homelander rising higher than ever in The Boys, someone has to be positioned as his equal. Episode 5 might be the moment we see Murray's power start moving in that direction. But this is also where the danger lies. Cypher's grip on her isn't just physical, it's psychological. He knows her fears, her guilt, the trauma of killing her parents, and the desperation to find her sister. If Cypher holds even the smallest clue about her sister's whereabouts, that gives him leverage powerful enough to control her completely. And I wouldn't put it past him to use that. The real question is, will Murray see through him before it's too late? Or will she be pulled in by the promise of power, falling straight into his trap? And then, we can't ignore the shadow hanging over all of this, the man in the chamber. His presence is still the biggest mystery of the season. Who he really is, what powers he has, and why Cypher is so closely connected to him, all of it is going to matter in Episode 5. Some theories say he's controlling Cypher from inside the vault, pulling the strings like a hidden puppet master. If that's true, then Cypher isn't the big bad after all, he's just the mask for something far more dangerous. Others believe Cypher is working to free his father, carrying out his mission and continuing his legacy. Either way, this episode is going to push that mystery front and center. And it could finally confirm just how deep the rot at Godolkin goes. The fractures inside the group are going to widen too. With Cypher pulling the strings, trust between Murray, Jordan, Kate, and the others is going to collapse. Jordan is already standing on the edge after being nearly killed. Kate is powerless and broken down, but still carrying her own secrets. And Sam, his absence in the last episode wasn't an accident. He's coming back, and his return is going to shake the balance even more. Cypher thrives in chaos, and in Episode 5, he's about to unleash all of it. Cypher's influence is spreading like a virus, and by Episode 5, the ripple effects are impossible to ignore. He's no longer just testing his power on individuals, he's shaping the entire campus climate. The conflict between the Starlighters and the Supremacists is reaching a boiling point, and Cypher is playing both sides. He thrives on division. The more the students turn on each other, the easier it is for him to stay in control. That's why his manipulation of Jordan wasn't just about Marie, it was about showing everyone else that even the strongest among them could be turned against their own friends. Fear spreads faster than truth, and Cypher knows exactly how to weaponize it. What makes this so chilling is that nobody really understands the full scope of his powers yet. We've only seen hints his ability to override a person's will, to bend their body and mind to his commands. But what if that's just the surface? Think about it, if his father was truly involved in Project Odessa, then Cypher's abilities might be layered, experimental, and far more advanced than any normal soup. The fact that Marie couldn't sense Compound V in his blood feels like the biggest clue of all. Whatever is inside him might be beyond detection because it isn't standard V. It could be a perfected version, an evolved strain. Something that allows him to manipulate not just people but entire environments. If Episode 5 expands on this, we may finally see just how dangerous Cypher truly is. The man in the chamber adds another layer of tension that can't be ignored. If he really is Thomas Dulkin, then everything about this season ties back to him. This is his school, his project, his legacy. Cypher might just be the vessel carrying out his unfinished mission. Some believe that Cypher is simply his son, but what if the truth is even darker? What if Cypher isn't just a son, but a host? A body being used by his father to continue his work. If the man in the chamber has powers similar to Cypher's puppet master ability, then it's possible Cypher's will isn't entirely his own. He could be controlled, just like Jordan was. Imagine the twist: Cypher, the manipulator, revealed as the manipulated. If Episode 5 leans into that, it flips the whole story on its head. But let's look at the other possibility. If the man in the chamber isn't controlling Cypher, but instead waiting for release, then Cypher's grooming of Marie makes complete sense. He doesn't want to break her, he wants to prepare her. Her blood powers could be the exact key needed to free his father. Cypher doesn't just need Marie's trust, he needs her cooperation, even if she doesn't realize it. That line about her being able to perform miracles could be a direct foreshadowing of what's coming. A miracle for Cypher might mean resurrecting his father's dream, unlocking Project Odessa 2.0, and creating a new army of enhanced soups. And if that happens, the chaos at Godolkin will look like child's play compared to what comes next. Marie herself is standing on the edge of transformation. In Episode 4, we saw what she was capable of when pushed to her breaking point. The blood answered to her in ways it never had before. For the first time, she tasted what it felt like to wield true, overwhelming power. And Cypher saw it too, that's why he's doubling down on her. But here's the danger: the more Marie taps into her abilities, the more she risks losing control. Every time she draws blood, every time she uses her power, it brings her closer to the memory of what she did to her parents. Cypher knows this. He knows her trauma is her weakness, and he's using it to keep her vulnerable. He whispers promises of greatness, but beneath it all, he's tightening the leash. Episode 5 could be the tipping point where Marie either takes control of her destiny or becomes Cypher's greatest weapon. Meanwhile, Jordan's downward spiral is impossible to ignore. They barely survived Cypher's control, and the weight of almost being killed by Marie isn't something you just walk away from. Their confidence is cracked, their trust in Marie is shaken, and their place in the group feels uncertain. This is the kind of vulnerability Cypher can exploit. And let's not forget, Jordan has always struggled with identity, with being seen as different. Now, after nearly dying at the hands of the person they love, Jordan is staring into a darkness that could swallow them whole. Episode 5 might push Jordan toward a breaking point. Either they rally and fight back, or they crumble under the pressure. And if they do fall, don't be surprised if Cypher orchestrates it. Kate's story is just as dangerous, but for different reasons. Stripped of her usefulness, she's walking a razor's edge. Cypher has humiliated her, broken her confidence, and reduced her powers to nothing. But Kate has something that Cypher underestimates: anger. When a character loses everything, that's when they're most dangerous. Don't be shocked if Kate turns her pain into motivation, digging deeper into Cypher's secrets and uncovering truths nobody else dares to. Episode 5 might not give her redemption yet, but it could set her on a path that makes her one of Cypher's most dangerous enemies later on. Cypher may think she's powerless, but being underestimated is often the greatest weapon of all. And then there's Sam. His absence in Episode 4 wasn't random, it was intentional. Removing him from the board for one episode builds anticipation for his return. And when he does come back, it's not going to be calm. Without Kate to soothe his fractured mind, his instability is bound to spiral. His guilt over what happened at Dulkin, his trauma, and his isolation will all be crashing down at once. Episode 5 could reintroduce Sam in a way that destabilizes everything Cypher is trying to build. A wild card with nothing to lose is exactly the kind of chaos Cypher doesn't want, but might end up facing. The pieces are moving into place. Cypher has the upper hand, the man in the chamber is looming larger than ever, and the group is hanging by a thread. Episode 5 is setting up to be the moment where the masks start to fall, where hidden truths start clawing their way to the surface. The real question is, who's going to survive Cypher's game? And who's going to end up as nothing more than another pawn on his board? The deeper we get into this season, the clearer it becomes that Murray isn't just another soup on campus, she's the center of everything. And episode 5 feels like the point where her rise truly begins, whether she's ready for it or not. The last time we saw her, she was forced to tap into a level of power that left everyone stunned, even herself. That moment where Cypher pushed her to unleash against Jordan wasn't just about proving her strength, it was about planting a seed in her mind. The idea that she could be more, stronger than anyone, strong enough to stand against Homelander. Cypher knew exactly what he was doing. He wasn't testing her, he was tempting her. And now, in episode 5, we're going to see what happens when Marie starts wondering if maybe he's right. The terrifying thing about Marie's arc right now is that her trauma is directly tied to her power. Every drop of blood she manipulates is a reminder of the night she killed her parents. It's guilt she can't escape, no matter how hard she tries. But Cypher twists that trauma into fuel. He tells her it's not her curse, it's her gift. That the same force that destroyed her family could be the same power that saves the world. It's a dangerous narrative, and one that Murray is vulnerable to because of her longing for redemption. Cypher's manipulation works because he doesn't just promise her greatness, he promises her a purpose. And for someone who has carried shame for so long, that's more seductive than any promise of power. But here's the catch, if Murray embraces this new side of herself, where does it lead her? Does she truly become the weapon capable of standing toe-to-toe with Homelander? Or does she become the very thing she fears most, a monster who can't control her own strength? The parallels to Homelander himself are chilling. Both carry immense power tied to deep emotional wounds. Both crave acceptance but are haunted by their pasts. Cypher sees this and he knows that if he can keep Marie walking that fine line, she'll eventually step into the role he's shaping for her. Episode 5 might be the first time we see Marie start to confront that possibility head-on. And we can't forget Marie's sister. Her absence is one of the biggest mysteries hanging over Marie's story. We know Cypher has secrets about the school, secrets about Project Odessa, and potentially secrets about her family too. If he holds the key to where her sister is, that makes him even more dangerous. Imagine if he dangles that information in front of her at her lowest moment. Marie would be torn between her instincts and her desperation to reconnect with the only family she has left. Cypher knows leverage when he sees it, and Marie's sister could be the ultimate card in his deck. Episode 5 could give us our first real clue about her fate. And if Cypher reveals he knows more than he's letting on, Marie's trust in him might grow even stronger, exactly the outcome he wants. While Marie's rise is the focal point, we can't ignore the collapse happening around her. Jordan's downward spiral is only getting darker. They've always been strong, but the events of the last episode left them fractured in a way we haven't seen before. Nearly dying at the hands of Marie, someone they trust, someone they love, left a scar deeper than any physical wound. Episode 5 could be the episode where Jordan withdraws, isolated from the group, haunted by the fear of being turned against again. Cypher preys on weakness, and if Jordan doesn't find a way to fight back, they could easily become his next pawn or worse, his next victim. Then there's Kate, broken, stripped of confidence and humiliated by Cypher. She's walking into episode 5 with nothing left to lose. But here's the thing about characters who have nothing, they're unpredictable. Cypher thinks he's neutralized her, that her powers are irrelevant. But Kate's strength has never just been her abilities, it's her willpower. Episode 5 could see her starting to rebuild, quietly in the shadows. Maybe she begins digging into Cypher's past. Maybe she starts connecting dots that nobody else is paying attention to. She doesn't need to fight him head-on, not yet. If Cypher is underestimating her, then he's already made his first mistake. And in a story this twisted, the underestimated ones often end up striking the deadliest blow. Sam's return looms large over everything. His absence in episode 4 was deliberate, it gave space for Cypher's influence to grow unchecked. But when Sam comes back, he brings chaos with him. His mind is fractured, his guilt over the slaughter at Godolkin is crushing him. And without Kate to calm him, he's more unstable than ever. Episode 5 could reintroduce him at his breaking point. And when unstable power collides with Cypher's manipulations, the results could be catastrophic. The question is, will Sam's chaos work in Cypher's favor? Or will it derail everything he's trying to build? And then, circling back to the man in the chamber, the shadow behind the shadow. Episode 5 might not fully reveal his identity, but the pieces are starting to fit together. If this is Thomas Gdolkin, then Cypher's entire plan revolves around him. Freeing him, reviving his mission, and unleashing a second wave of Project Odessa. But there's another possibility, a darker one. What if the man in the chamber isn't waiting to be saved, but waiting to be unleashed? What if Cypher isn't the master, but the servant? A pawn, just like everyone else, bound to a power greater than his own. If that's the case, then everything we think we know about Cypher could be flipped upside down. Episode 5 might just give us our first taste of that revelation. At this point in the season, trust is crumbling, power is shifting, and secrets are clawing their way into the light. Murray's rise, Jordan's collapse, Kate's quiet defiance, Sam's instability, Cypher's growing influence, and the man in the chamber's looming presence, they're all threads weaving into a storm. Episode 5 isn't just another chapter. It's the turning point. The moment where everything starts falling apart. The only question is who's going to come out on top when the dust settles? The tension at Gdolkin has been simmering for weeks. But Episode 5 feels like the spark that finally lights the fuse. The divide between the Starlighters and the Supremacists isn't just a school rivalry anymore. It's turning into a full-blown war, and Cypher is standing right at the center, quietly pulling the strings. What makes Cypher dangerous isn't just his power to control individuals, but his ability to control narratives. He knows how to pit people against each other, how to exploit fear and pride, and how to weaponize insecurities until the campus tears itself apart. And the cruelest part? Nobody realizes he's the one feeding the fire. Think about it, Cypher doesn't need to fight Homelander or anyone else directly. If he can divide the next generation of Supes, if he can turn the students into enemies of each other, then he wins without ever getting his hands dirty. The Supremacists crave dominance while the Starlighters cling to morality. And Cypher is slipping whispers into both sides, ensuring they collide head-on. Episode 5 could be the moment where that tension erupts into violence, not just words. And in that chaos, Cypher can watch from the shadows, choosing exactly who survives and who falls. Murray's role in this conflict can't be ignored. Her power, her rise, and her connection to Cypher are putting her right in the middle of it. To the Starlighters, she's hope, a symbol of someone strong who still believes in doing good. To the Supremacists, she's a threat, someone who could stand in the way of their rise. And to Cypher, she's the ultimate pawn. If Cypher can push her into taking a side, or worse, into losing control, then she becomes the perfect weapon to tip the balance. Imagine if Murray, under Cypher's influence, is forced to unleash her blood powers during a campus-wide clash. The fallout wouldn't just fracture the school, it would define her reputation forever. Episode 5 could put Murray in a position where every choice she makes feels like the wrong one. Jordan's struggles feed directly into this larger war. Already shaken from Cypher's control and Murray's near-fatal strike, Jordan is vulnerable to manipulation. They're a natural leader, someone people look up to, but right now their confidence is shattered. Cypher sees weakness, and he's not the type to let that go unused. If Cypher manages to twist Jordan's doubts even further, he could push them toward a decision that plays right into his plan. Jordan could either step up and fight to protect Murray, or spiral into despair and become a liability. Either way, their arc is going to hit a breaking point in Episode 5. And that breaking point might decide which way the conflict tilts. Kate's story is the quiet storm in all of this. On the surface, she's powerless, sidelined, and humiliated. But in reality, she's watching. Cypher has underestimated her, written her off as broken and irrelevant. That's exactly what gives her the opportunity to move in silence. If anyone is going to start piecing together the truth about Cypher, it's Kate. She knows what it feels like to be under his control. She knows how he operates. And she's already experienced his cruelty firsthand. Episode 5 could be the moment where Kate starts connecting dots, uncovering secrets about Cypher's ties to the chamber, and realizing that his grip on the school runs deeper than anyone imagined. Cypher may think he's silenced her, but all he's really done is given her space to plot her return. Sam's reappearance could throw everything into chaos. He's the unpredictable wildcard, and his fractured mind makes him a danger to everyone, including himself. Without Kate to ground him, his guilt and rage are likely festering. When he comes back into the picture in Episode 5, it won't be calm, it'll be explosive. His past actions at Gdolkin still hang over him, and the weight of Andre's death is something he can't escape. If Cypher tries to manipulate Sam, the results could be catastrophic. But there's another possibility. What if Sam refuses to be controlled? What if his chaos actually disrupts Cypher's plan, shattering the order Cypher is trying to impose? Either way, Sam's return isn't going to be a quiet subplot. It's going to be a turning point, and looming over all of this is still the man in the chamber. His presence is the shadow none of them can escape. Every theory points back to him, whether he's Cypher's father, his puppet master, or the ultimate weapon waiting to be unleashed. Episode 5 might finally give us the first crack in that mystery. Maybe we hear his voice. Maybe we see his